Hello, my name is Pam. I'm a receptionist here at Grady Veterinary Hospital. I'm here today to speak to you about what to do if you find injured or orphaned wildlife. Here at Grady's, we do get our fair share of calls regarding wildlife, especially with spring coming up and early summer when animal reproduction is at its peak. We get a lot of calls about baby animals being orphaned or injured, and people not knowing what to do with their pets with them in certain situations. But first, I'd like to talk to you about what not to do if you encounter an orphaned wild animal or an injured wild animal. First off, you do not want to touch the animal. You could get bit, or the animal could possibly be carrying some sort of a disease that we don't know about. If you do have to handle the animal, you want to wrap the animal in a towel or use some heavy, thick gloves. Also, you do not want to chase after an injured animal or try to capture it. It could frighten the animal more. The animal, if it is already injured, could do further damage to itself if you're chasing it. Also, you do want to keep your pets and children away from any wildlife. It is a wild animal, especially if it's injured. It may, lash out in fear to scratch or bite. Lastly, you do not want to feed the animal. Even if, you believe the animal hasn't eaten for a long time, because you could possibly, be doing more damage and giving it food if you're not sure what exactly is going on with it or what to feed the animal that's going to be healthy for it. You may have the good fortune of seeing wildlife in your yard, in your area. Unless something seems amiss, leave them alone. Human intervention is always a wild animal's last hope, not its best hope. The animal, even if it has a mild injury, will always do better without human intervention. Has a better chance of survival if it's left just to be. If you're fortunate enough to have a baby bird's nest or baby wildlife on your property, and you're aware that they are there, make sure that if you do have dogs in the home, that you are taking them out on leashed walks in the area. Also, cats, please keep them indoors so they do not have any interaction with the wild animals. Kitties, just out of instinct, will kill a baby animal, not because they're hungry, but just because it's instinctual. Dogs, a lot of times, are not trying to hurt the wildlife, but they may, decide to play with a baby animal and therefore injure it or unfortunately kill the animal. We do get a lot of calls regarding this in the springtime here at Grady's. And we will, advise for people just to please, if you have to take your dog out, take them to the front yard if the bunny nest is in your backyard, or at least take them out on a leashed walk in the backyard. Also, there is some question whether or not a baby animal is really an orphan. Wildlife mothers will leave babies alone for long periods of time while they are out looking for food for themselves and their babies. They will also leave their babies alone for long periods of time, especially during the day, just so they do not attract predators to where their babies are hidden. This is especially true for white-tailed deer and bunnies. Raccoons are another one that will leave their babies alone in a tree for long periods of time, a day or more, without returning to them. These babies are, if they're old enough to climb a tree, they're old enough to be left alone. Just leave the babies alone. If you're positive that the baby animal is an orphan, if the mother has been killed and you know this, or if it's been over a 24-hour period and the mother has not returned to the nest, that's when to intervene. You can contact a wildlife rehabilitator. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources has a lot of good resources available on their website. It is at www.ohiodnr.gov. They have a breakdown on their website also of the rehabilitators by county. Never try to rehabilitate a wild animal yourself. You have to have a license. It is unlawful to take a baby animal or an adult animal into your home if you are not a licensed rehabilitator. information on this website regarding wildlife officers. Those are also broken down by county, and they can also provide assistance if you have like an emergency situation, like perhaps an adult deer has been hit and there's an orphan with it. Anytime that there's a dangerous situation. If you do have to move an injured animal, to remove it from a dangerous situation, always use a towel or gloves to move it. Especially true if the animal is injured, because it could lash out and bite or scratch you. We also get a lot of calls regarding injured birds of prey. A lot of times you'll see a bird injured in the road because they've flown down to feed off of roadkill in the road and they end up getting hit. There are a couple different organizations that you can contact regarding these birds. These would be owls, falcons, hawks, birds like that. You can contact the Ohio Bird Sanctuary. That is at theohiobirdsanctuary.com. Or you can also call the Raptor Center, which is located here in Cincinnati in the Milford area. That number is 513-825-3325. And they're very good about coming out to pick up injured birds of prey. Do not take the animal to a veterinarian office. Veterinarian offices are not licensed to treat wildlife. There's nothing that we can do. We would have to turn you away. But we certainly can give you information that can be helpful to you as far as, what the next step would be. If you have any questions, if you find yourself in a situation where you need help or further assistance with an injured or orphaned wildlife, certainly give us a call at Grady's. We are more than happy to help in any way that we can.